Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 7 of T.W.E.T. I am joined again by Leechy and by Rooster. Say hello, guys.
Hello, guys.
There we go. See? Leechy, I'm loving the enthusiasm there. Right. So, we're going to start this off in kind of a normal format. The first one for a little while, I think. And, it's episode 7. My lucky number. Number 7. So, hopefully, this will be a fantastic
Also,
one.
the most powerfully magical number.
Sure. Okay.
It is.
Explain.
It's in Harry Potter. Just 7 is the most powerfully magical number. Fucking degenerate, not knowing that.
Right, let's move on. Past.
I am a nerd. Got a problem?
Yeah.
We're doing a podcast
For
talking
nerds.
about games and gaming news. Of course, we're fucking nerds.
Hey. First off, a couple of episodes ago, I did talk about Star Trek. That's not gaming.
That's even more nerdy.
And we talked about The Witcher.
Equally.
Which are overrated.
Wow.
Prove me wrong.
Have you even watched it yet?
Of course I haven't.
Well then, climb back into your box, get back into your cage. Fucking prick. No, I'm properly going to move on now. So we're going to start with what you guys have been playing. Within the last couple of weeks, we haven't done it for the last 2 episodes. So, I'm interested what you guys are playing at the moment. I'll start off with Leechy. Come on, Leech, what you playing? What you getting into at the moment?
So same old shit, Siege and Assetto. But I've also started playing Guild Wars 2.
Yes.
A little bit late to the party, by about 8 years, I think. But yeah, pretty fun.
Yeah.
Actually bought the DLC for it too, the expansion packs.
Right. Yeah.
So yeah, that's fun. Something new, innit?
Oh yeah. Well, I've not played Guild Wars 2. I didn't even know that there were like expansions for it. I know it's an older game, and it's a lot of people have a lot of good things to say about it. But as a new player going into it, Leechy, what's been your experience and so on?
So I think first things first, I miss having a mount. I've played ESO for so long, and having a mount on there is just life-saving. And yeah, same goes for Guild Wars. I'm running everywhere, fast traveling at every opportunity. But yeah, obviously you've got to run from the fast travel points, and it just takes an age. Apparently, you do get a mount as part of the DLC story, but that requires you to be level 80. I'm level 21, so
Long
I've got
ways yet.
a while to go. But no, it's cool. It's a little bit weird, actually. So they've gone for more of the kind of like action style combat, where if an enemy is sort of in the arc of your weapon, then you'll hit them. But it still uses a targeting system. It's a little bit odd.
It's like a hybrid between.
Yeah.
two.
So rather than like with Skyrim, for example, where you swing your great axe at something, and whatever is in the way of your swing generally gets hit, but you don't target stuff. Whereas on ESO, you do target stuff, and you choose your enemy, and you cast everything at that one dude, unless it's AOE. But yeah, Guild Wars uses this strange hybrid of the two, where you target the one guy, but if there's someone stood next to him or between you, then they'll get hit as well. And it puts a lot more emphasis as well on the different weapon types. So whereas, again, using ESO as an example, on there you have your weapon skill, so one hand, two hand, bow, and all that malarkey. But honestly, generally speaking, there are other skills that are just mostly more powerful, and I don't find myself using the weapon specific skills all that often on ESO. But I can't remember the actual numbers. I think Rooster knows them, but
Is it
it might be. But each weapon type, however many there are, has a set of skills that I think are tied to each class as well. Is that right?
Per class. So in Guild Wars 2, um, let's say there's the Necromancer can use swords, and the Ranger can use swords, and the Sorcerer can use swords. Now, the sword skill line for the Necromancer are necromantic abilities. Although they are sword skills and they specifically use the sword, they are to the class. So the Ranger's sword skills are different. Again, to the Elementalists' sword skills are different. Now, the Ranger can also use axes or bows. Other classes can use bows, but each weapon, now, not all classes can use all weapons. There are a couple of, like, a Ranger can't use the heavier weapons because it doesn't make sense for the class. They use axes, swords, like spears, daggers, bows, things like that. Whereas obviously the more heavier classes can also have like hammers and maces.
Yeah, I'm a
But
warrior and I'm dual wielding maces at the moment.
yeah, but every class's weapon abilities are unique to the class,
Yeah.
but
That's
you have
really
different
cool.
abilities depending on the weapon you're using. So there's a massive amount of variety there compared to ESO, where you've just got the weapon abilities.
It's
At the
kind
end
of
of the day,
cool because, like, especially at the lower levels, obviously you're finding new gear quite often.
so you're trying it all out.
And so yeah, not only are you trying different skills like quite regularly, but it means you've got to learn a new rotation for every new weapon you find, which is I can figure if you've got used to one rotation, it can be a little bit annoying if you've now got to learn
Another
something
one,
new
yeah.
just because you've switched your weapon out. But let's face it, I think everyone does the same thing in an MMO. When you're leveling to max, you just as soon as you find something that does more damage than the thing you've got now, equip it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And I think no one really cares about building
builds are an
until
end game thing. Like you use what gets you through the levels, and then when you're max level, you start going, "Ooh, I want this setup."
Yeah, I mean
You
it's
could,
it's the same across all MMOs. You're gonna go with the
yeah,
thing that gets you the most experience to get
yeah,
through the levels quicker, and then focus on your build afterwards. And even then, you're focusing. You still don't know what you're focusing on. So, in terms of Elder Scrolls Online, when we were playing together a couple of years ago, I didn't know my full build. I didn't know exactly what I wanted to build because I'd not played the game enough to get enough equipment to warrant me figuring out my build completely. I mean, in terms of statistics and abilities, yeah, I had them pretty much down to what I wanted. But when you're talking weapons, armor, and all of that stuff like lootable items, that's a daunting task. Really, you've got to be
yeah.
playing for a long time to
Well,
really get that build that you want.
another thing that I find that Guild Wars 2 does surprisingly good. I've also been playing it as well, just for reference. Um, uh, is that pretty much every class, a bit like what ESO wanted to do, but I don't feel necessarily pulled it off very well, is every class can basically fill every role. And that's because your stats and stuff, although you have the class's baseline stats, is they increase as you level, but you don't like select stats to go up. You can train talents and things, but that's something completely different. You get those with hero points. But as you level up, your base stats go up slightly. But other than that, it's all entirely gear based. So if you wanted to be a mage who has a lot of heavy armor, and a massive health pool because the gear you're wearing maxes out health and armor, then you can. It brings in a lot of variety to the builds of any class can play any role because of the fact that all of your stats are from your gear. It also means that you can switch up your builds as and when you want to. So you can either have multiple sets of armor and go, okay, I want to be a bit of a glass cannon for a bit as the elementalist. I'll put my staff on with my AoE abilities and my high sort of like damaging armor, which doesn't quite give me as much health. and there you go. Now I'm an AoE build. Or you can chuck on something with a bit more armor to it, pull out a sword as the elementalist. Now, if you're using the fire element at the time, all of your skills are still fire based. You're still basically wielding a flame sword, but now you're more of a melee combatant with heavy armor. And in PvP, that can be interesting because it means you don't know what you're facing upon first look when you see a character. You might see a tiny little mage and think, this will be easy. Then you hit them and see you barely touched them and go, oh shit, this guy's got a lot of armor. But he's not going to hit as hard because of that. I feel like that works really well. But you don't have to have multiple sets of gear because you can get legendary gear, which is essentially the second highest tier of gear you can get. Now, the reason you might want to use the second highest over the highest is the advantage it has is you can change its stats on the fly. It's a piece of armor which you can go on and choose what it's got multiple sets of stats that you can just use on that armor. So it's a bit more of a jack of all trades, so not as good as the highest tier, but the highest tier is what it is. You'd have to have multiple sets for different play styles, but with the legendaries, you can just be like, right, I'm going to change all of my things to be armor based, or I'm going to change all of my things to be damage based. And there you go. You've got these very fluid. I suppose that's the way to explain the whole game. It's very variable. I could speak English, and very fluid.
Programmer, I can't say the word variable.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, just don't get me started. But yeah, it's in both combat and build design. It is just you can do what you want, and it's quite entertaining in that sense. And other games have attempted it, like ESO, but I don't feel they've pulled it off as well as Guild Wars 2 did.
That's some high praise from you there, Rooster. Really high praise. You're no controversial topics for today, then.
There might be.
There's still time. It's only 12 minutes in.
Just hold up. I haven't been playing Guild Wars for very long. Give it a couple of weeks, and I might be slating the shit out of it.
Well, that gives anybody a reason to keep listening to these, just in case you do just lose it. Lychee, any other games that you've been playing?
Not really. I gave League a download, but basically, I haven't had the opportunity to play it with anyone yet, and so every time I'm sat here bored, I think, do you know what? I'll give League a go. So I load the launcher up. I'll start looking through some menus and contemplate starting a match, and I just can't bring myself to do it. I close the launcher. Go play something else.
Usually Siege.
Yeah, usually Siege.
For me, League of Legends is a game that you need to play with people to have fun.
Yeah, I just can't bring myself to solo it.
No, it's not because the matches themselves are quite long, and the community is so toxic that really, in my opinion anyway, it's better with friends.
Toxic? No.
Yeah, I know. Shock,
you're
horror,
lying, mate.
Shock, horror.
So somebody's just gonna have a complete heart attack on that. Massive piece of news. Breaking news here. The League community is toxic. But
Who'd have thunked it?
Okay, so Rooster, what have you been playing then? Other than of course Guild Wars.
So I've also recently given Warframe a go. So big Destiny fan myself. Some people may just have distaste to that, but I played a lot of Destiny 1 on my Xbox years ago, and I've played a fair amount of Destiny 2 on PC. I tried Warframe many years ago. I never quite got into it, but decided to give it another go. And I know a lot of people basically pick Warframe over Destiny. Now, I feel you could easily play both of them because although similar, they're both sort of loot grind games and they're both space themed. They do play very differently, in my opinion. So you could easily enjoy both, and I do. But I have been thoroughly enjoying Warframe. This time I've got quite into it. Very, very fast paced. Just all of the movement. I think it's kind of the whole point of the game. It's a loot grind game with
Space Ninjas.
Space Ninjas, but with the point is to try and do the missions fast for the sake of efficiency. So the movement system is incredibly rapid. So, if you can just zip through the whole level, kill everything you need to. Yeah. But yeah, it's very, very fluid, very fast. I've been thoroughly enjoying it. The combat just feels satisfying and clean. I like the sort of the design of how you've got all of the warframes, which you can, if you've got them unlocked, you can pick and choose them whenever you want. So the warframes themselves are essentially like a loadout. They have their own abilities, and they're not like characters in Destiny where you have to have the character and build it up. There's only one character that you technically have, and you have your one ship on Warframe, and it's your account, and you can just choose the Warframe as and when you want to. A bit like what Anthem tried to do.
Yeah.
Anthem garbage game. But what they tried to
Not
do
that any of us
with
have played
their
it.
suits and everything like that, you could, when you unlocked the suits. I think that's kind of the route Anthem wanted to go down, was more of the Warframe sort of design. My main issue with Warframe is the fact that all of the crafting times and stuff are real time, including going up mastery ranks. So your Warframe levels up independently. What's essentially your account rank is your mastery rank, and that you can only do once per day. Obviously, because I'd recently started it, I leveled up twice in one day, and I couldn't take my second mastery rank test because I had to wait 20 hours.
Right.
Because it was only 4 hours ago that I'd done the first mastery rank test. And when it comes to crafting blueprints and stuff, luckily enough, you can put multiple things on crafting at the same time. I think it would have been far more annoying if it was one at a time. But like crafting a new weapon and it's 24 hours real time. Like I have to wait until tomorrow for it to be done. Now you can speed it up with platinum, which is the paid for currency.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's my
Yeah,
only
that's
gripe
what
at the
you
moment.
for.
But at the same time, it's not too much of an issue because of the way the game is very loot grindy. What you can just do is it doesn't exactly halt your ability to play the game. It just means before you can use that new weapon, you might as well look into what you're going to want in the future and go farm its materials in missions. Because you can still play, you just can't use that weapon and it's done. I think it also helps with the fact that all of the trading in game is done with platinum. So it's the way for people who don't want to pay money to be able to get the premium currency is if you've got the time to go and grind those high tier items, then you can trade them for people who don't have the time but have the money. So you can then go and sell that high tier drop item to someone for platinum. So you can now use platinum for all of the microtransaction-y stuff. Because it's only cosmetic, so obviously you can just buy things outright with the platinum, but everything that is needed to play, like all of the warframes and stuff like that, you can acquire in game. Like you can play that game without ever spending a penny on it. But if you really want to look like the most high tier space ninja as possible, then use platinum. But I do like the fact that the way the trading system works, and I think the developers themselves kind of enforced this, which I think is really good, is the fact that the trading system is done entirely through platinum. So, you can earn platinum without having to buy it. So that's pretty good.
Yeah, that's really positive for a free to play game as well. It looks like it's quite meaty. There's a lot to do in it.
Oh, that's what I found is I'm guessing that's where most of the praise and comments of Warframe better than Destiny comes from. Is a lot of people find Destiny is quite lacking, whereas I do agree there, Destiny could easily have more content. I enjoy the game nonetheless. I'd love it if we got more content for Destiny quicker, but I wouldn't want that to hinder the quality of it either. But Warframe does have a fair amount to it. which is quite enjoyable.
Okay. Cool. Have you been playing anything else at all?
Other than that, it's just the usuals, Siege. I'm a big Siege fag, so primarily that Warframe and Guild Wars at the moment.
Fair enough. Right. So, I have been branching out again.
Ooh.
No, I haven't. So Tuesday, I bought 2 Point Hospital. I am a massive, massive fan of Theme Hospital. I love Theme Hospital. I thought it was a fantastic game way back when. It was only about a year ago I played Theme Hospital, and Lauren was playing Theme Hospital over the weekend. And I was sitting there, I was going, 2 Point Hospital. Now that looks like a fantastic game, as it's been developed by the devs that worked on Theme Hospital. I might have to have a look and see how much that is. I managed to pick up for £7.80. Let me tell you right now, £7.80 does not do the game any justice. That game is amazing. I would have been happy with it if I spent 30 quid.
Fair enough.
Straight up. The 2 Point Hospital, and I know I'm really late to the game on this one anyway, but 2 Point Hospital is fantastic. It is so much fun. Theme Hospital was incredible, but they made 2 Point Hospital just 10 times the game that Theme Hospital was, with all its kind of like its cosmetics that actually have effects on different rooms, and you can level up specific rooms, and a copy room function. Oh my god, yes. That addition is just, no one can see right now, but I've just eyes closed, thumbs up. Yes. I'm really impressed with 2 Point Hospital. I'm really, really impressed with it. And I had to switch it off Tuesday night because I wouldn't have stopped and I wouldn't have gone into work. I played it all evening Wednesday for about 4 hours. I thought it was about an hour. Time disappears on that game.
Just nyong.
It really does.
And I mean, 4 hours, I went through about 2 hospitals. And I'm only doing like hospitals at 1 star at the moment, so I can just kind of move on to the other hospitals and see what else the game has to offer. And yeah, it is really, really well done. I'm so happy I picked it up now, and I think I wanted to play it for a long time, but I never kind of came round to it on release. And oh, it's just so great. I'm going to be playing that now for the next couple of weeks until I completely burn myself out on it. I'm going to have people saying to me, "Oh, do you want to come and play this?" No. I'm playing Theme Hospital.
I think my main problem with games like that is when, because they are fantastic, but some people, when they try and ask you to play what, quote unquote, they would call a real game, they're like, "Oh yeah, but you're only playing a Tycoon game." It's like, yeah, but I'm having a lot of fun. Fuck off.
Anybody who says that needs to take a long, hard look in the mirror and fuck themselves.
Yeah,
those elitist pieces of shit.
Tycoon games. A lot of people, they're the best. I remember, so I haven't played 2 Points. I haven't played a Tycoon game in a little while, to be honest. But I remember my all-time favourites as a kid were Theme Park, obviously.
Yes.
And Mall Tycoon.
Ooh.
An underrated one, I think. A lot more people played the zoo or the hospital ones, but I played Mall Tycoon as a kid. I fucking loved that game so much.
Another one that flew under the radar was School Tycoon. That was a great game.
Couldn't do it modern days now, though.
No, the graphics.
No, you know for a fact there'd be a school shooting mod.
Yeah, 100%.
Within the week.
100%. Within a week.
It'd be a feature, mate.
Yeah.
It'd be a feature of the official game.
The DLC comes out and it's
partnership with Hatred.
School Tycoon, a call to arms.
Oh my god. We're all going to hell.
Yes. We are bowling for... Oh, anyway.
I think I've just had my new game idea.
There you go. I think that's going to be the title of the podcast.
School
Tycoon. A
Call
call
to
to arms.
Yes.
Oh, fantastic. But yeah, those kind of Tycoon games, and I think everybody played Theme Park. Theme Park was the game.
Oh yeah,
I love
Theme
Theme
Park
Park.
was definitely the one that really gained traction and attention from a lot of people.
Thank you. It's Bullfrog,
I think
isn't
like
it?
Roller Coaster Tycoon came along.
Yeah, Roller Coaster Tycoon was a big one. But that was... I mean, the technology was better when that came out, so it's completely understandable. But yeah, Theme Park and
I
Theme
used to
Hospital.
love how you could actually ride the roller coasters
Yes.
at Theme Park. That
Yes.
was so cool.
You got to be a person and walk around your park and actually go on the rides and stuff.
Well, like a 10, 12-year-old me, however old I was, when playing it, it was just like, let's build like the most wild roller coaster ever and then ride it.
Yes, so was I. You're like,
Yes.
oh, I can't wait. Look at this roller coaster. I've been building it for an hour. Now I get to ride it. Like, it's a fantastic game. Like,
Oh.
just even now, it's so nostalgic. And
All I can think of is imagine being able to go back in time and say to me at that time that VR is going to be a thing.
yeah, yeah. VR
And you
roller
can ride
coasters and
roller
stuff.
coasters
Yes.
in VR. That would have blown my little mind.
Little Kieran
mean-
would have been like, really? No way. I'm so excited. It's yes, but I think every single like Tycoon game after that never had that kind of feel of like the theme park game. 2 Point
Yeah.
Hospital is purely a spiritual successor of Theme Hospital. It is Theme Hospital, but 15, 20 years into the future, it is so good. Rooster Man, pick it up. It's £7.80. It is worth every damn penny. Put Warframe down and get 2 Point Hospital.
But I'm enjoying Warframe.
But you'll enjoy 2 Point Hospital more. So, it's time to stop fangirling.
A little bit more.
I'll do it more with other things.
Fair enough.
So, actually, a piece that we didn't discuss in the group chat. I'm actually just scrolling through Star Citizen leaks, and the reason I'm bringing this up is today was supposed to be the court case decision, and to see if the court case would actually be dismissed, and so on and so forth. But something has literally, within the last 10 minutes, just come out saying the court has considered the parties' stipulation and for good cause shown it is hereby ordered that the hearing currently set for February 7th, 2020 is vacated. The court will issue its ruling on the pending motion after February 21st, 2020, unless the parties inform the court that they have resolved the motion. So, officially, the hearing has been delayed.
Yeah.
Effectively, which is unfortunate. And I forgot to say, it's February. Happy Carrick month, everybody! Yay! So there's been a little bit of news about that as well. See, you know how in the last one the last kind of podcast I was talking about how I was upset about the development and so on.
Yeah.
What CIG have done, like in terms of like just introducing medical gameplay with the Cutlass Red, that was never intended on the roadmap. That was something that was just kind of, you know, discussed 2 weeks before it was pretty much released to PCU. And it seems like they're going to be following this approach a little bit more. And with the Carrick, they may be doing something else with it. And if they do this, I'm going to be so excited. So the Carrick itself has got basically like a top loading hangar.
Yeah.
Which you can put a Pisces in it or a small snub fighter. And it's also got a front loading kind of like a place for a rover. And right now, the only way to get them into the Carrick is you have to physically get the Carrick out, then get the Ursa rover or whatever rover you want out to park it into the Carrick, and then get whichever snub fighter, usually the prices you want, and fly that into the hangar, and then you can go from there. They may actually be with the character introducing, either when it is released or at least in 3.9, the ability to actually put a smaller ship that fits in those places actually into the ship before you can spawn it in your Moby class, which is, yes, it's just so good. It's these
that makes life a little bit easier.
Yeah.
It's these little features that they're kind of bringing in and releasing that I think where staggered development is coming in, that's where we're starting to finally see the fruits that are bearing from staggered development, and they're little pieces that just makes everyone's life so much better. And you know what? If they want to continue that approach, I'm all for that. I wouldn't care if they have 4 things on the roadmap, if they brought with those 4 things these really, really awesome little bits of like gameplay that just make the game so much better. And and the characters, I want to say all but confirmed, but I do not want to jinx it. I really, really don't. So CIG have put out a statement saying that in the US, ship art finalized art for the upcoming Esperia Prowler, which is basically a ship coming out in March. Once the Drake Cutlass Red was released, they moved on to the white box for the Cutlass Blue, which is fantastic. That's the next ship, which is going to be like a bounty hunting ship. In the UK, the team started production on 2 new ships, which will be announced later this year. Ooh, I'm so excited. The Anvil Carrack is also nearing completion, with the final touches being added to the medical bay, the cartography room, and cargo pods. They're currently tweaking the lighting and making a final polish pass.
You've already pre-ordered, right?
You what?
You've already pre-ordered the Carrack, haven't you?
Yes.
Well, I guess I know when I'll be playing next.
As soon as it's released, boys, you don't even understand.
Remake, get online!
I'm taking the day off of work.
Just take us on adventures in the Carrack, boy.
I don't care what we're doing, where we're going, how we're doing, or anything like that.
I can show you how to get to
we are flying.
the drug den thing.
I know, I found it myself.
Hey, I got there first time.
I hate you. It took me 4 or 5 attempts to find Jump Town, so I hate you. But that's fine. But yes, we're not even going to do anything. We're just going to fly around, and I'm going to walk around the ship, and all you're going to hear from me is, "That's so cool! Wow, look at that! Oh my god, this is amazing!"
I want to take the little snub
this.
fighter and then try and land it whilst we're traveling at max speed.
Yeah, that's never going to work.
How will we know unless we try?
It's a good point. I'm down for it. Let's do it.
See, if we're going to dick around like that, all we've got to do is make sure we're recording it.
The question is, the question is though, does anybody know how long the detonation timer is?
I love that video. I want to. So there are a couple of things that me, Roost, and Leechy have been involved in, kind of together when we're playing. They're videos of Leechy's, and I want to get them, edit them into a couple of like the podcast bloopers that we've done, and some of these videos from our gaming pass. One of them involves Siege, which is still, I think, my favourite video that we've recorded, or that Leechy's recorded.
I was so tired.
It was just so good. And another one was in Star Citizen, and it's just that has perfect comical timing. I think is the best way to explain that video. So I'm hoping to get them and get a little bit more stuff and more content, kind of edit them together, and then be able to produce that as videos so that people can enjoy us three being shit at games. Like
basically, yes.
But yes, when the Carrack comes out, we're not even going to be doing missions. We're not even be doing anything. There will be no like kind of end goal. We are just going to fly.
Yes.
And I'm just going to walk and just walk around.
You just fly to every space station and then just hover around and just flex on all the peasants.
Yeah.
Yes. Until the bigger, more expensive ship turns up, and then we get flexed on.
Yeah.
No, we won't. The good thing
Unlikely
is...
with this whale.
I don't know what you're talking about. I have no idea. But they've got like space stations above all of the main landing zones now. So literally, like take like Lorville for example. If you leave Lorville, leave its atmosphere, there's a space station that is orbiting right above Lorville, and they're kind of like rest and relaxation stops that are all over Stanton. The kind
So
of
they're
universe.
motorway services.
Essentially, yes. And I think they're making a lot more headway in terms of survival gameplay, like having to eat, having to drink, and these space stations are going to be important because they all have food courts, and that's going to bring that kind of gameplay in. And I think they're also working on the engineering aspect of the game, as what recently some of the YouTubers that kind of cover Star Citizen stuff, they're saying that's what's being worked on. I'm taking it with a pinch of salt because I'm not 100% sure. I would love to, but I don't want to get my hopes up. But that will incorporate like the ability to actually change engineering parts or repairing engineering parts, and or maybe when you're attacking a ship specifically targeting certain parts on the ship to break down the engines, to destroy the life support system, to destroy the power plant, and then the engineer
Sneak
of
on
that
board
ship,
and turn off their power.
yeah, you can actually do that. That's a tactic, sabotage. They're working on that, and I can see that coming pre-2021. So
That'd be cool.
We just got to wait, and it's mechanics like that are going to make the game exactly what people want it to be. So I'm super excited. But I wasn't even planning on talking about Star Citizen in that much detail. I'm not gonna lie. It's just because because I've got the Star Citizen Leaks Discord. So whenever I get notified, that means there's something big going on, and I had to go and have a look. And it's big, gents. But yes, I'm gonna move on to two. I've got two topics that I definitely want to talk about. The first one being the release of Warcraft 3 Reforged.
Oh dear.
See, I've never played Warcraft.
Same.
I was about to say,
ever
apparently, if you haven't ever played it before, it is a fantastic remake. But if you are a fan of the original, you'll be nothing but disappointed.
Yeah, but I've only heard bad things, really bad things. I think it was actually given the status the worst remake ever made.
It has the lowest user rating ever on Metacritic, I believe.
Oh no, poor
Yep.
Blizzard. And actually no, not poor Blizzard. Go on, what were you gonna say?
It has not been well received, and that's because of like what Leach just said, with it being, if you're a fan, then you're just sorely disappointed. But that is where most of the sales will have gone, particularly on release. It's the old school fans that were excited are the ones who are obviously gone and bought it, and they're the ones who have review bombed the hell out of it on Metacritic.
Yes, which I get it, because I think it's a case we've talked about this a couple of times, is people overhyping something.
Yeah.
And it may not necessarily be a bad game, but because people have overhyped it themselves as it's released, it's not met their own hype. And I kind of get it. People were super excited about this, and I think Blizzard haven't exactly helped themselves with their response either. I think they've disappointed a lot of fans, especially on Twitter. Apparently Twitter blew up once it was released, saying how bad it was, and Blizzard's response was just basically a big fuck you.
Sounds like Blizzard.
From what I hear, and it's a case of...
Do you have phones?
Yeah. It's a case of they're basically saying they feel that if they stripped certain content, or they've made their decisions to kind of recapture the remake itself, to kind of keep it within the nostalgic feeling of the original game, which I kind of understand, but they never apologized or anything along those lines whatsoever. I think if I was a fan of that franchise and I was as disappointed as people are, and I saw that response from Blizzard, I would kick off.
Yeah.
It wasn't a bad response, but it's not the response you give to loyal fans.
Yeah,
Basically saying,
it's essentially a polite way of saying, well, you got what you got. We made decisions for a reason. Deal with
yeah,
it.
and that's it. And that's not what necessarily games are all about. You know, yeah, remakes are great because you get that kind of nostalgic feeling to them. But if they're a carbon copy as well, it's not.
Great example of a remake is Resident Evil 2.
Yes, exactly. It added more to the game. You know, it was remade. The
Yeah.
graphics were fantastic. It added a little bit more in terms of story. The gameplay mechanics were just on point, and the community loved it. Remakes are not just a carbon copy of what a game
Yeah,
was
like
15
like
years ago.
in Resident Evil, you've got that entirely new segment of escaping the is it an orphanage?
Yeah, it's an orphanage.
Yeah, escaping the orphanage, and like that's entirely new. And I've heard a lot of people say that it's one of the best parts of the game. Like they didn't just add something new; they really nailed what they added.
Yeah, and
A lot of people find that incredibly like sort of thrilling, like the escape from the creepy guy.
yeah, I think that's what a lot of people are expecting with Final Fantasy VII's remake as well. It's not just a flat carbon copy, but
Yeah,
a completely
I think
new take, a new aspect of Final Fantasy VII with new
of
content.
the information we've been given about Final Fantasy VII so far, it does seem like they have basically said they want Final Fantasy VII to be more, not just the same thing.
Yeah,
So it seems like that is what we're gonna get is some new things. It's just the only problem with like remasters and remakes and new content is it's a bit of a rickety bridge. Like you've really got to nail the new content because if you don't, it's just gonna go against you. But if you don't do anything new, that's also gonna go against you.
yeah,
So it is a bit of a risk to try and capture that nostalgia, but you do have to try and add some extra new stuff. You've got to make sure that it fits with the theme and people are happy with it.
yeah. Of course, and you know we've seen developers do that.
Yeah.
Resident Evil 2 is probably the best, most recent example of that. It can be done, but at the end of the day, if it's a massive project to uptake, and if you can't handle it as a development team, then it may not be best to try it. But
Yeah.
it's that's by the by. I've never played Warcraft 3. I've not actually played Resident Evil 2, although I know it's a good game. I want
You
to
should.
play it. I really want to play it, but unfortunately, 2 Point Hospital has taken over my life, so unlucky. But so the next point I wanted to move on, and this is a game that we have discussed in some detail, slating it over the last 2 months. Actually, we're in February now. We started this podcast back in December, but
Jeez.
yeah, I know.
It always amazes me every time.
I know, it's crazy. Episode 7, Jesus. But yes, we've discussed this previously, and in terms of the game, it was very well received, and that game is Fallout 76.
Yep.
Now, the reason I'm bringing this up is because they've announced a new expansion pack, which is completely free for everybody who owns Fallout 76.
Coming to Steam as well, isn't it?
Yes.
It is indeed. However, you will have to buy it again.
Yeah.
And although any weapons and stuff like that, I believe, are transferable, things like atoms and stuff like
Yes.
that are not. So if
Uh,
you've got atoms on your Bethesda.net version of the game, you won't have them on the Steam version. And there is also the fact that you'll have to buy the Steam version.
Yes. Which I get it, different platforms. That doesn't necessarily bother me. Loads of games done that in the past. I think people who are getting pissed off at that really need to get a dose of reality, because this isn't the first time that's happened to games, and it's not going to be the last.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm
thing
fine
is,
with
as
that.
well, obviously it costs them money to put their game on Steam.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
they have their own already established platform. They have no obligation to put it on Steam. It's purely for the fucking those people that can't have more than one launcher for their games. You know,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't understand it personally. My PC is good enough that I could leave every single launcher open and it wouldn't hinder my performance even a smidge.
Weird
So
flex, but okay.
But yeah, so this expansion, so there's a couple of things that are coming to the game that personally I think it should have come when it was announced and released.
Oh yeah,
So
without a doubt.
that I think the biggest thing is
The
NPCs,
Wastelanders. The
actual
NPCs.
NPCs, human and what they called? Brain, please.
There's always one segment of our shows where someone's forgotten the word for something.
I know it's right there.
the ghouls.
Right
Ghouls,
back after
thank
this
you.
introduction.
Yeah.
Da-da-da-da-da.
Thank you, the ghouls. They're actual NPCs with actual like small narratives and stuff like that, and they're returning the reputation system with certain kind of like factions and a complete faction system, and they're rehauling the entire main narrative quests as well. So the fact that all of that is coming and it's all free is huge, and I think
Yeah.
I wonder if
Well,
they'll fix the game. I
no,
tried to
they
play
won't.
it. I tried to play it a couple of weeks ago, and it would get to the menu, and then I'd have like the animated background of the main menu,
yeah.
but I had no menu. I couldn't actually load in and play the game.
I think I know what that is. It's quite a common problem. You had not played Skyrim recently.
I fucking knew that one was
Yeah,
serious.
you haven't purchased Skyrim in over 12 months, so unfortunately you're not allowed to play
No
Fallout
other
76.
Bethesda game will run. You have to repurchase Skyrim, then you can play Bethesda games again.
Well, jokes on them. I just uninstalled instead.
That'll show them. So the expansion is being planned to be released on the 7th of April. For all those that don't know, my birthday is the 7th of April.
Here we go.
So,
You can send your gifts to P.O. Box.
I mean, it's not a free expansion isn't exactly much of a gift, Leechy.
But the viewers, I mean.
Oh,
Yeah,
sending
I
me
think-
gift.
I think you completely missed the joke that he was making.
I did. That went well and truly over my head.
Whoosh.
But
Special announcement to the viewers, in case you haven't already realized, Remake is fucking stupid.
well, hey, it's nice to meet you. But yes, I think it's bringing things that the community wanted Fallout 76 to have in it when it released.
Yeah.
And it's taken time to get there, but it's good to know that Bethesda have completely understood their kind of shortfalls on Fallout 76 and that they're rectifying it. I mean, not a lot of other game studios that I know, EA, would give you a free expansion with this amount of content that's being planned.
Yeah, so something to toot Bethesda's trumpet slightly, and a lot of people will hate me for saying that, but something they really are good at is making sure that they always start at the bottom of the fucking mountain, but they will climb.
Yeah. Yes.
like they fuck up royally almost every release, but there's not a lot of studios out there that consistently fail to improve their game, but they do try. Like, they try to improve their games. They try to do what the community wanted. Now, they definitely do not get it right very often, but they don't give up, which is, something you can give them credit for. Like, they take a lot of hate and a lot of shit, and instead of just going, oh, well, fuck this, our fans aren't, loyal.
Bethesda.
Yeah, they just sort of, they shoulder it, they take the hate, and they work on it.
I mean, you
make
just want to lick
improvements.
Todd's bumhole too.
I mean, if it gets me a job there, yes.
He's down on all fours, prepared and ready to go.
I am. But yeah, like I said, they don't necessarily deliver when they try to improve, but they do try to improve, which
Yeah.
is better than can be said for a lot of other studios. EA, and namely Blizzard for one. I mean, we've spoken in the past about how, shit hits the fan for Blizzard, and their responses are usually just like, yeah,
Deal with it.
Deal with it. Yeah.
you've already bought our game, so fuck you.
Pixelated shades out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Exactly. Such as, don't you all have phones? Whereas I don't find you tend to get that very much with Bethesda. They will shoulder the responsibility of their fuck ups and try to do something about it.
Yeah.
They just don't really succeed.
But it's going to be interesting to see exactly what the expansion brings. I'm definitely going to go back and try it when it is released. See kind of
Yeah, I'll give it another bash.
How good it is and how much it improves the game.
Do you know what? I quite enjoyed it, to be honest. Like,
gameplay, it is not a terrible game. Its main flaws was marketing.
it had
and-
no story really, which
Yeah, and just bugs, issues. Like they had a lot of server issues. There's a lot of bugs, some really devastating ones. Hacking was a bit of a problem, and I think their problem there as well was while the iron was still hot, they released the first thing.
yeah, Fallout first.
Fallout first, that's the one, and it's just like, and it's the little things like that where like the fans were pissed off because it's not the game they wanted, or even though it wasn't necessarily what they wanted, it was still enjoyable enough. They just wish it was more. And while the wounds were still open, they go and do that. And then there was the canvas bag fiasco. I think the problem with 76 was it was lots and lots of things all at once,
Yeah.
which just left a sour taste.
I found
Like,
it
gone
really
off
hard to
milk.
play.
Yes.
Gone off milk. Lovely.
Bethesda is gone off milk.
It's what, sometimes it's really good and sometimes it's really bad. No, gone off milk is always bad.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I think you underestimate how much Rooster loves Todd.
I was still going to say sour milk then. I was thinking.
I taste Todd's sour milk.
It's a good thing that people genuinely, on average, drop out about 10, 11 minutes in.
Yes.
So not a lot of people are going to hear that. But me driving to work or from work, I'm going to go
that again.
Revax can have a major accident.
It's just going to keep recycling the playlist, like as I'm in this accident sort of thing, so people can just hear our voices just taking the piss out of each other. But yeah, Fallout 76 for me, I didn't like the gameplay. I thought it was really boring. I got bored very quickly.
See, I don't think it's the gameplay, it's the content there, because gameplay, it's still played like a Fallout game, but a actual Fallout game at least had a lot of content, whereas 76 just felt lacking. The gameplay was there, but the content wasn't.
I felt personally, I felt cheated a little bit because it was. I really don't think that Bethesda should have released Fallout 76 as close to Fallout 4 as they did, and it felt like they did nothing to improve on the engine itself. It looked like they just picked up Fallout 4 and went Fallout 76. There you go.
It must be a running trend because the last time I tried to play Fallout 4, that was broken too.
Yeah,
it kept crashing.
Bought Skyrim.
Yeah,
we've discussed this.
We've been through it. Right, Rooster. I'll move on from Fallout 76. I know that you had a couple of topics that you wanted to discuss.
Yeah, just small tidbits of news of recent things. So Metro Exodus is coming to Steam this month, 15th of February, I believe. So obviously it was quote unquote exclusive to the Epic Games Store, but it was also on Windows Store too. So it was exclusively not on Steam. is the right terminology.
Another reason
there.
not to use Epic Games.
Yeah. But yeah, Metro Exodus is coming to Steam for anyone who enjoyed the Metro games but weren't happy that it wasn't on Steam, so haven't bought it yet. The year is up. You've waited. Have at it. A very well received game. I say very. Okay received game. Mostly what people would want from a Metro game. So if you enjoyed Metro, then you should enjoy Exodus. So in Call of Duty Modern Warfare, this is sort of like leak and rumor, but based on some information we've gotten from Call of Duty, people believe that Ghost will be returning to the game, probably as a sort of like a season pass operator, and also Rust. So there's been a lot
I saw
of
the thing about
leaks
Rust
and rumors about Rust in the past, but we did see a screenshot in a video, and like the little windows on a computer showing areas and operations, and one of them, a lot of people have commented, looks suspiciously like Rust. So
1v1 me in Rust, boys.
Yes.
It's coming
So,
back. 2009.
They must have been true.
Hello, darkness, my old friend.
And the last one is Ubisoft news. So Ubisoft made a statement basically saying that they intend to release 3 AAA games with next-gen support by the end of 2020. That number will be 5 by April. So across the next year, Ubisoft intend to have released 5 AAA titles with the thing of these will be next-gen games. Whether they release before the next gen, but then also have next-gen versions, or they are just next-gen titles, they will.
Aside from new IP, which we don't know about, obviously, I think we can guarantee there'll be an Assassin's Creed and a Ghost Recon at the bare minimum.
So we obviously know about Watch Dogs.
It won't. True.
So the 5 games are very likely. What let's run through them. They're going to be Watch Dogs, definitely. Rainbow Six Quarantine.
Oh yeah,
that is probably classified as a AAA title. The new Assassin's Creed. There will probably be a new Far Cry.
True.
And that 5th slot could be a number of things.
Just Dance.
Yeah, it all depends on timing. So I know that there's speculation on a game called Gods and Monsters, which could potentially be. Depends on whether that's really going to be classified.
Were Ubisoft the ones doing Skull and Bones? Was it?
I think so.
Like the more serious competitor to Sea of Thieves.
Yeah. But whether all of these will be considered AAA titles, it depends on what studio is, working on them. For example, people have mentioned Gods and Monsters, but that may turn out to be more of a AA production rather than a AAA. It's published. Yeah, it's being developed by Ubisoft and Ubisoft Quebec, but it all depends on how much attention they put into that game. Yeah. So that could easily be one of them, but yeah, so that could be the 5th, or like we said, we could be looking at a new Ghost Recon game. I don't think so about Ghost Recon because we have been seeing frequent updates to what's the Breakpoint?
Breakpoint,
yeah. Karma's come straight back around to slap you in the face. How do you feel?
It has. But obviously they've been doing a lot of event-based stuff for Breakpoint. I think even though it wasn't necessarily a massively successful game, they intend that game to last a little bit longer.
Yeah.
I
can see that. I think what was interesting as we're mentioning next-gen consoles was that development or the dev team convention. I don't know if you heard about that at all. I can't remember exactly where it was or exactly what it was. But they did a quick survey to the developers that attended and what basically where they see their future in terms of the next-gen consoles and so on. Because I'm guessing there were development kits actually there at this convention and they got a little bit of information on what they can expect with their dev kits. And when they came out, of course, PC will always be the main the largest percentage and the winner of all of those things. But what was interesting was PlayStation 5 was actually much more preferred than the Xbox Series X.
Yeah, I heard that more developers were making games for PS5 as opposed to Xbox.
Which
Yeah.
is
But then is that a matter of Sony love to throw money at devs to get exclusivity? It seems
Or-
Microsoft don't really give a shit about exclusives anymore.
Not necessarily. I don't think it's that. What it could be is if those people only had one option in the list of platforms, we know that Microsoft are moving into this Xbox and PC, removing that exclusive piece and having that as kind of an intermeshed, intertwined piece. So really, what you could probably say is the developers that said PC, about 25% of them will also have it on the Xbox because it's completely cross-platform or cross-compatible.
Yeah.
So I think that's where a lot of people are kind of misunderstanding maybe those statistics, and you get the occasional console war people that are saying, well, that makes PlayStation better than the Xbox. No, it doesn't.
I think the problem is as well is it all depends on the studios that have been spoken to, because for one, it's obviously not any of these major developers, because since we were just speaking all about Ubisoft, do you think for a second Ubisoft would be producing one of their main games and just not put it on one of the consoles?
No, God no.
They don't have a preference of a console. They're developing games for everything. It will be developed for everything.
Yeah.
Same with most major AAA titles. So these are smaller, not necessarily indie studios, but smaller studios. And there's a lot of these studios that can't be taken into consideration for those statistics because they're now subsidiaries of Microsoft. Microsoft has been going. I think they now have 14 studios under them.
I would rather be under Microsoft than EA.
None of those 14 studios can have been asked that question, because none of those 14 studios are going to be able to say, "Oh yeah, no, we're definitely making PlayStation exclusives."
Yeah,
they're owned by Microsoft. Of course, they're not making. So I think there's the problem where Microsoft has a lot more studios where they are sort of the parent company. They own these studios and they are the financial backer to these studios. Whereas PlayStation, although they have studios like that, are a lot more just, we throw money at you so you make our game, but we don't own.
Yeah, no,
we own
that.
they rent them. We own you for a year,
Mm-hmm.
kind of thing. Whereas Microsoft actively is funding these studios. So that's where sort of the statistics can really go askew, because
it goes to the point that we've made before. Don't trust everything that you read and see on the internet, because statistics are a fantastic way to you get information and understand certain aspects, but it's not the be all and the end all, especially with something like this, because there are other factors. You cannot look at one set of percentages and then that's it. That's the rule of thumb. There are so many other factors that go into certain percentages and certain reasons as to why people have said or picked a certain
I think
console.
a key phrase for people to always bear in mind or remember, is one of my favorites, is statistics are statistically wrong. Basically, statistics are always lies. They can be manipulated in so many ways. It all depends on how you look at and read statistics. So never take statistics at face value, because a slight changing of wording can make it seem completely different.
Very, very true.
So yeah, a good saying to remember: statistics are statistically wrong.
Right. Okay. I think that's where we're going to end this anyway. This podcast. I think this has been a pretty damn good episode. So thank you guys again for coming over and talking crap with me for an hour.
No problem.
Thank you to everyone that's still here listening as well.
All two of you.
Me and me. But yeah, thank you so much. I hope you guys all have a great weekend, and we'll look to do some more. Hopefully another one next week. But for now, we're gonna let you go. See you later, guys.
Toodles.
See ya.